Hello, welcome to Critical Joke Theory with your host, G.D. Fenderson, Certified Forensic Humorist. Now with new joke technology.
Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, Certified Forensic Humorist at Large, but I'm losing weight. Welcome to Critical Joke Theory, episode 93. Now with new joke technology and 13% more snark, and open caption for the humor impaired. Dame Joan Plowright has died at age 95. The widow of Lord Laurence Olivier passed away peacefully surrounded by her family at Denville Hall. Joan was an actress of enormous and wide-ranging talent across over 7 decades until blindness made her retire. That is so unfortunate. She could have had parts in movies like Blind Fury, Blind Date, Blind Side, Blind Fear, Blind Woman's Curse, and many others. Plowright was perhaps the greatest Anglophone actor of the 20th century, according to Variety magazine. She was certainly a leading pioneer in post-war British theater's modernization, particularly in terms of her theatrical style, as well as her geographic and class origins. That's how the British say, not bad for a poor chick with no class. Raised in a middle-class family in Scunthorpe, northern England, Plowright's theatrical credentials were already dubious according to snobbish metropolitan attitudes of the time, and were weakened further by her unfashionably plump face. Her mother told her, quote, "You're no oil painting, but you've got the spark. Just thank God you've got my legs and not your father's." Close quote. Damn. That's cold. An early agent disparaged the name Plowright as sounding like trade, plows, and agriculture, and suggested an alternative like Desiree Day. Maybe going to porn, moaned Plowright. Plowright kept her name and changed her agent. In 1960, she starred in the award-winning Broadway run of A Taste of Honey by Shelley Delaney. In this play, Plowright reportedly for, quote, apparently the first time a white girl had kissed a black boy on stage, close quote. I believe that black boy was Billy D. Williams. To these plays, Plowright brought crucial cultural understanding from beyond the glamorous upper-middle-class drawing rooms that dominated 1930s and 40s British drama. Rest in peace, Joan. You can kiss as many black boys as you want now. That's what Lindsey Graham calls heaven. Ryan White Maloney, a singer and musician who was one of Blake Shelton's top 5 finalists on The Voice Season 6, died January 28th at the age of 44. The manner of death for Maloney was suicide, with the cause of death listed as a gunshot wound to the head. Prior to that, he had a bang-up career. Maloney was born in Traverse City, Michigan in 1981 and started playing guitar, violin, cello, and drums when he was 9. From there, he started writing songs and formed the band Indulge, with which he recorded the album Tomorrow's Another Day in 2005. After 10 years with that band, Maloney struck out on his own, which led to him recording the solo album Where I've Been and eventually starring in The Voice in 2014. Wait a fucking minute. He was already a pop star with albums. Why can't Beyonce or Taylor Swift compete in The Voice then? On the NBC singing competition, Maloney received a 4-chair turnaround with his blind audition song Lights by Journey. He chose to be on Shelton's team, where he went through 2 battle rounds and made it to Shelton's top 5 finalists. Maloney returned to the show to perform in the final season. Just a shot in the dark, but he must have been a pretty decent singer. Rest in peace, Ryan. You were a high-caliber performer. Marianne Faithfull, the Grammy-nominated singer and actress known for her hits like As Tears Go By and Come and Stay With Me, died January 30th after a long battle with health issues. She was 78. Faithfull rose to prominence as a singer at the height of the swinging 60s with her single As Tears Go By, which was written by the Rolling Stones members Keith Richards and Mick Jagger. Quote, I was never that crazy about As Tears Go By, she wrote. In her 1994 autobiography, Faithfull, quote, it was a marketable portrait of me, and as such is an extremely ingenious creation. a commercial fantasy that pushes all the right buttons, close quote. Her relationship with Jagger dominated the tabloids from 1965 until 1970, during which time she penned her own albums and starred in several films, including the 1968 erotic drama The Girl on a Motorcycle. Talk about pushing the right buttons. How about Girl on a Motorboat? After their breakup, Faithful struggled for years with drug abuse and homelessness before having a career resurgence following the release of her Grammy-nominated 1979 album, Broken English. She continued to sing, write, and act over the course of the next 40 years, appearing in such films as Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette and writing 3 books. Rest in peace, Marianne. You were faithful to yourself. John Sykes, the electrifying guitarist who rocked the world in legendary bands Whitesnake and Thin Lizzy, died on January 20th after a major battle with cancer in the key of D. At least it wasn't blue murder. He was 65. Sykes rose to prominence as a member of the heavy metal band Tigers of Pantang, recording 2 albums with the band before departing in 1982. He later joined Thin Lizzy and is credited with co-writing the single Cold Sweat on the band's 12th and final album, Thunder and Lightning. Following Thin Lizzy's dissolution, Sykes was recruited by English hard rock band Whitesnake. He recorded guitar parts for their highly successful 1984 album Slide It In, and was heavily involved in the recording process for the band's 7th studio album, 1987, co-writing 9 songs on the album, including hits Is This Love and Still of the Night. However, due to disagreements with frontman David Coverdale, Sykes was fired from Whitesnake before the album's release in 1987. Sykes would go on to create his own band, Blue Murder, and perform as a member of the touring version of Thin Lizzy for over a decade. He also released 4 solo albums. Rest in peace, John. As far as guitarists go, you had a plucking good run. At least 7 people were killed and 19 others injured after a medical transport plane carrying a child, her mother, and 4 other people crashed in Philadelphia last Friday night near a busy mall, according to city officials. The 6 passengers traveling on a medical jet before it crashed in northeast Philadelphia Friday night have been identified by the Mexico-based company that was operating the small plane. The passengers are Captain Alan Alejandro de Montoya Perales, co-pilot Josu de Jose Juarez, Dr. Raul Meza Arenado, paramedic Rodrigo Lopez Padilla, Valentina Guzman Murillo, Lizeth Murillo Uzona, or as I claim that Trump called them, the DEI dead. I am purporting that Tom Homan said, now I don't have to deport them. President Trump moved Thursday appointing Christopher Rochelot, a 22-year FAA veteran, as acting administrator of the FAA. Following Trump described Rochelot as highly respected, adding, as far as we know, he has fewer than 2 rape accusations against him. Again, it could be true. Sexual assault is not a flaw but a perk in the Trump administration. After Trump asked control tower workers to resign, he decided to exempt safety workers from the federal employee buyout. Fire, ready, aim, repeat. The right wing of a DEI Japan Airlines plane struck the tail of a Delta Airlines plane Wednesday morning on the runway at Seattle Tacoma International Airport, officials said. The collision occurred while the planes were taxiing, the Federal Aviation Administration said in a statement. Delta said its plane was being de-iced when its tail was clipped. When Trump heard that the plane was taxiing, he demanded that their taxi medallions be revoked. A gunman who killed 11 people, including himself, at an adult education center in central Sweden may have been a student at the school, police said on Thursday, as they described chaotic scenes after the country's deadliest mass shooting as being like an inferno. Ricard Anderson, 35, seen here blaming his barber for his inceldom, seen with a girl, has been named by the Swedish national broadcaster and multiple media outlets, including Reuters, citing police sources as the man who opened fire, killing 10 people and himself at an adult education center in Örebro, Sweden. P.J. Samuelson has lived next door to Anderson since May last year, but says he has never seen or even heard his neighbor. If I may, 10 people being shot is Sweden's worst mass shooting? Hold my ammo, says almost any place USA. A strain of bird flu never seen before in the United States has been detected among poultry at a California farm. Obviously, the new strain is drought resistant and flame retardant. The virus, called highly pathogenic H5N9, is a type of avian influenza, otherwise known as bird flu. This is not the same type of bird flu that's already been spreading on dairy cow and poultry farms in the US, causing at least several dozen infections in humans. That virus is called H5N1. H5N1, H5N9. This would not be happening if Kamala Harris was the HNIC. Don't worry, Robert Kennedy Jr., seen here trying to remember why he joined the Trump team, is all over it like a whalehead on the family car. Right now, where I live, a dozen jumbo eggs with a plain white shell is almost $10 a dozen. Now, the organic brown eggs are about $5.50 a dozen. I do not understand how organic became cheaper than mass-produced, but if I can save money buying brown eggs, well, hell yeah, DEI. Judge George O'Toole Jr., a federal judge in Boston, on Thursday paused nationwide the Trump administration's offer of buyouts, the so-called fork directive, to federal employees less than 11 hours before the deadline for workers to accept the deal. The hearing is to determine if the so-called fork directive is legal or if Trump and Musk are just trying to fork government employees. Judge George O'Toole Jr. and his injunction causing the plan would continue until at least a court hearing Monday, when he will consider arguments by employee unions challenging the legality of the buyout and by a lawyer for the Trump administration defending the plan. The buyout offer purports to allow employees to submit a deferred resignation in which they will no longer have to work but will be paid with benefits until the end of September. However, it is not clear if there is even money available for this buyout or if Trump plans to rip them off like he's done to countless contractors. To date, Stormy Daniels is the only known case of Trump voluntarily honoring a contract. O'Toole's order on Thursday is the latest in a series of judicial rulings pausing implementation of key policy initiatives of President Donald Trump. U.S. District Judge John C. Coffenauer, the second federal judge in 2 days, has blocked President Trump's effort to end birthright citizenship for the children of parents who are in the United States illegally, decrying what he described as the administration's attempt to ignore the Constitution for political gain. On Wednesday, U.S. District Judge Deborah Boardman in Maryland passed an injunction keeping it on hold long term until the merits of the case are resolved, barring a successful appeal by the Trump administration. Apparently, Trump is learning how government works one failure at a time. It's like learning how to knit by tugging on the yarns of a knitted sweater. David A. LeBrick, the highest-ranking career Treasury official, resigned after a fight with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, pronounced free ad for Musk's cryptocurrency company. Musk, seen here praying for someone to like him, and his band of youthful incels, associates, had a dispute with LeBrick over access to sensitive payment systems. David A. LeBrick, who has served in non-political roles of the Treasury Department since 1989, covering 6 presidents and 11 Treasury secretaries, announced his retirement on Friday. He was appointed as acting Treasury Secretary by prejudiced Donald Trump until Scott Bessent was confirmed on Monday. The payment system disburses over $6 trillion annually for services like Medicare and Social Security. The system also pays out tax refunds, salaries for federal workers, and payments to government contractors, like Elon Musk.
No conflict there. Trump's executive order creating DOGE also granted it, quote, full and prompt access to all unclassified agency records, software systems, and IT systems, close quote. Now, which government software and IT system isn't classified again? The Treasury Department has data on almost every U.S. citizen. What would data driven companies like the ones that Musk owns want with all of our data? Elon Musk, altruist or all true shit? The Justice Department said Monday that it fired over 24 people, including several career lawyers involved in prosecuting convicted felon, unregistered sex offender, public housing resident Donald Trump, escalating his campaign of retribution against his perceived enemies. The employees worked on special counsel Jack Smith's investigation that led to now dismissed indictments against Trump over his handling of classified documents and his efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss in the lead up to the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The case was not dismissed on the merits of the evidence, but rather because of a spineless Justice Department and a corrupt Eileen Cannon. Quote, Acting Attorney General James McHenry terminated the employment of a number of DOJ officials who played a significant role in prosecuting Trump, close quote. A Justice Department official wrote to NBC News, quote, in light of their actions, the Acting Attorney General does not trust these officials to assist in faithfully implementing Trump's agenda. This action is consistent with the mission of ending the weaponization of government, close quote, which Trump weaponized in the first place against Hillary Clinton and James Comey. Now that Pam Bondi, seen here waving bye to justice, is officially in control of the Justice Department, she can finish the dismantling of equal justice under the law. Convicted felon, unregistered sex offender, public housing resident Donald Trump, Attorney General issued a flurry of orders Wednesday just after she was sworn in, releasing 14 first-day directives. Among them, Bondi ordered the department to set up a task force to examine the weaponization of the Justice Department and rein in investigations into foreign influence. That's right. That's right. Give me gold, Bondi. Pam Bondi has decided not to look for government employees acting as foreign agents. Talk about open borders. She also wants career lawyers at her agency not to try to thwart Trump administration policies such as stealing funds and violating human rights. Bondi called for the Justice Department to put its full weight behind Trump's effort to crack down on illegal immigration, but foreign money migrating to Trump's coffers is okay. No justice, no shit. The head of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, Ken Martin, seen here saying, now what, was decisively elected chair of the Democratic National Committee on Saturday, beating a crowded field in the first round of voting to become the new face of a party struggling to find its footing during the second Trump administration. Now Martin is tasked with a new challenge, strengthening and transforming the National Party to withstand the second Trump administration using passive-aggressive tactics like shame and appealing to Trump's humanity. Martin, who has spent 14 years leading the Minnesota Party and 8 years as a DNC vice chair, emerged as an early frontrunner in the race due to his long-standing ties to state party leaders, a key voting bloc. Throughout the campaign, he highlighted his track record. The Minnesota DFL hasn't lost a single statewide race since he took over the party. The official statewide race in Minnesota is white. Quote, the Democratic Party is the party of working people, and it's time to roll up our sleeves and outcompete everywhere, in every election, and at every level of government. And I look forward to working with this next generation of leadership to build a party to unite America, close quote, said DNC Chair Ken Martin. Quote, today's elections mark a new chapter in DNC leadership, and Donald Trump and his billionaire allies are put on notice. We will hold them accountable for ripping off working families, and we will beat them at the ballot box, close quote. And if you check your phone right now, there's a text from Ken. Yeah, right on cue. And finally, my Said-It-Torial. Trump's newly appointed inflation czar, when asked how Trump's executive orders to purge federal agencies of career employees will combat inflation and fix the things that he claims Biden did to ruin the economy, offered this chart with the following explanation. Be honest, you were fooled for a moment, weren't you? Do you really think that Trump is this organized? A chart? There is no inflation czar. There is no plan to combat inflation. And if you voted for Trump thinking that his priority was you, then the yoke's on you. You have egg on your face because Trumpty Dumpty is just a shell of a man with a shell of a plan. No, a concept of a plan. Emphasis on con. But inflation czar sounded believable. You can make almost anything sound like Trump said it. Just ramble a little and add a Nazi reference, and bing bang bong, you've got it. Just this week, Trump evicted former Admiral Fagan from her home with 3 hours' notice after she was given 60 days to move. He had already fired her. She had 60 days to vacate. He had her forcibly removed, and her name is still on the lease. That's petty. Trump is so fucking petty. In fact, Secretary of Pretense Pete Hegseth is replacing the rank of petty officer with the rank of Trump. Trump also cut the U.S. aid personnel from 10,000 people to 290 people. 290 people to do what over 10,000 people is doing. Okay, even if those 290 people were the best white people on the planet, thanks to DEI, they could never do the work of 10,000 people. I guess Trump is going to replace those near 10,000 employees with contractors so that he won't have to give benefits, and he can stiff them on pay like he does all contractors. Farmers and Big Pharma are pissed because U.S. aid purchased billions of dollars of products from U.S. farmers and pharmaceuticals to send to countries in need. There are now thousands of tons of food and medicine wasting away because there is no one there to process it. Trump's and President non-elect Musk's idea of government efficiency is to efficiently create waste. Trump levied tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China. Then the stock market took a dive and a shit on the Trump's great idea. So Trump immediately rescinded his executive order removing the tariffs on Canada and Mexico and postponing them for 30 days after getting nothing in return, or nothing new in return. Trump really knows how to bargain, if you bargains. The 10% tariff on Chinese goods remains. China retaliated with a 15% tariff on U.S. goods. In 2021, 8.6% of total U.S. exports of $1.8 trillion to the world were exported to China, and 17.9% of the total U.S. imports of $2.8 trillion were imported from China. Trump signed a new executive order barring the USPS from accepting parcels from China. Then Trump rescinds that order. So the U.S. Postal Service has resumed accepting parcels from mainland China and Hong Kong. Trump has no idea what he's doing. He is the epitome of 100 monkeys with typewriters and paper trying to write a book. Trump also threatened to take over Gaza. He wants to class the place up like he's done for no place ever. Trump claims he wants to rebuild Gaza and put five-star resorts all over the shore. Trump's idea of classy is a Five Gazas burger. No offense, Five Guys. Some things we're doing to ourselves. The NFL removed the words "end racism" from the end zones at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans ahead of the Super Bowl on Sunday. Trump has made his stance against diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives clear since he took signing an executive order on his first day in office to end DEI programs in federal agencies and putting employees in those programs on leave. Maybe the NFL needs to hide any disabled vets too, since we know how Trump feels about disabled vets. Maybe we need to hide any minority coaching staff, since the Rooney Rule may have played a part in their hiring. And for God's sake, don't let Trump see the black quarterbacks. NFL, take your fucking cowardice and stick it in your tight ends. Just because Trump is a whiny little bitch doesn't mean the rest of the country needs to be one too. And our representatives, be it in sport or in politics, shouldn't be either. Susan Collins famously said that Trump has learned his lesson. His lesson? That Susan Collins and people like her are fucking morons. People of Maine, please get rid of Susan Collins. You may lose Senate seniority, but you will gain a senator with a spine who will represent you and uphold the Constitution. And it's not just Susan Collins. It's 99.5% of the GOP. They have no spines, and Trump is going to make it impossible for them to import them. They're going to have to grow them. Soy farmers, since U.S. aid is not buying your crops, maybe you can rework your soil to grow some spines. At this point, it could be organic or GMO, just no DEI. Not yet. It would be like putting African American gums in James Ronson's mouth. Yeah, I Said-It-Torial. I'm G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist, now with new joke technology and 13% more snark. Thank you for watching Critical Joke Theory, where our motto is I purport, you decide if you decided right. If you enjoyed it, please like and share it, and please check out Done Way Past Funny on YouTube, Knob TV, and Spark TV. Also watch The Church of Last Resort streaming live on Sundays on YouTube at 9 a.m. Eastern, and feel free to check out my website, www.sojidfunny.com, to access to more of my content. Be safe out there, and don't feed the crazies. Critical Joke Theory with your host, G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist. Now with new joke technology.